Well, I, for one, can't possibly be a killer. Mr. Burnett and I were walking in the violet forest after dinner. Mother, what? I had some things I needed to discuss with him.
I see. What were those things?
Well, you know, he and Mr. Payne did know each other before they came here. Mr. Burnett had requested to stay here for the season, and I thought that he and Mr. Payne and Mr. Burnett would be very glad to see each other once more. However, when they arrived here at the house, they both seemed very unhappy to see one another. Well, you know, I thought it was because, well, as you know, Evangeline, Mr. Payne had been engaged to Mr. Burnett's sister, years ago. And I thought that, well, but however, Evangeline, I thought you knew that, but however, Miss Maxine Burnett died, unfortunately, before the wedding could be done.
Do we know how she died?
No, I really don't know. Perhaps Mr. Burnett has that answer.
Yes, Mr. Burnett.
Yes.
Could you enlighten us?
Sure.
This is quite a shocking revelation. I thought you never
My
told me.
sister was engaged to Mr. Payne. And being the Payne that he was, he left her and broke the engagement. And my sister could not handle that pain. So she took her life and jumped off the cliff at the carrot box.
That's
The very same.
That is absolutely terrible.
Well, I was where I belong. I was in the garden house, arranging my tools for the next day's work. It had been a tiring day. I had helped the seer here take some clippings of my herbs and flowers.
You did not want to help me with the clippings. I
Well,
made you do this, but look at the beautiful clippings.
Well, milady, my wishes, of course, are immaterial. I do whatever Lady Steele commands me to do, and she is your friend, and she has instructed me that I give you carte blanche in my gardens. And
I worked very hard to be able to go and pick my wonderful flowers for all of my potions. You know I make wonderful potions.
Why, yes, and I remember something else. As I was getting ready for the next day's labors, well, the fog was thick, and it was indeed difficult to see the fingers of one's own hand. I spied, as I looked, as I peered into the fog, a form. And as I looked very, very, very closely, I am certain that I saw Mr. Bertram West
Yes.
You know,
walk into the carriage house.
you know, it's strange that you say that, Mr. Freeman, but
Sir?
when I was going out to the carriage shed to fetch Miss Cross's steam-powered bicycle,
Which I never got.
well, I went out to the shed, and you were walking in front of me. And you started to go towards the cliffs.
I
And
did,
then
sir.
very mysteriously, you darted to the right, over to the maintenance shed, like you didn't want anybody to see you. Now that, I thought, was very odd.
Well, sir, you did indeed see me, and I heard voices. I couldn't see who they were, but the voices carried on the wind. It was a very strange effect with the fog. And I heard Mr. Payne arguing with someone. I mean, I could hear a voice raised in anger at him. I could hear his voice, but I heard not the voice of the one who was shouting at him. And well, then I must say I did hear a scream from Mr. Payne. And I can only presume that was followed by his fall off the cliffs.
I want to know something.
Yes,
Why did you ask me to bring all of my potions?
well, that was a request that Lady Steele had made. And she wanted you to bring the potions for, I thought, a very unusual reason. She wanted a potion that would cause a deathly affliction to somebody, but I never questioned her. Just like I didn't question her when she asked me to send a letter out that morning to you and the seer. But what was strange too is that when you were leaving the party, Miss Cross, you seemed very disturbed, very upset that you wanted to get out of there in a quick manner. And so when I went to the shed to fetch your steam-powered bicycle, the seer was also in there.
That's right.
Getting her trike ready.
I was doing very hard labor all afternoon, and Mr. Freeman was so kind to help me pick all of my wonderful potions.
I can vouch for that. She was indeed with me all afternoon.
We then reached the carriage house, and I was packing up most of my herbs, when all of a sudden I heard Mr. Bertram come in, and he was very suspiciously getting ready to get your trike ready. You were trying to leave all of a sudden. Why would you leave so suddenly?
Well, I have a question
Say
too.
that. I have nothing.
Going back to those letters, Lady Steele, you requested I do that, but you had a little secret meeting with Miss Cross before dinner. What was that about, if I may ask?
Well, as you well know, Miss Cross is a frequent visitor here to Harrison House, and she often brings potions with her. And I had been asking her to bring some potions for me over the last year or so. And, well, the truth be known, I believe that I am dying.
Mother!
Oh,
It is a major affliction I cannot get rid of. I do not know what to do.
No, and
What is the
I...
nature of this affliction? Why did you not tell me?
No, I do believe, Miss Cross believes as well, that I have been put under a curse.
Oh my.
And
Jeez.
a curse?
And why are you looking at me
Curse.
like that?
Seer.
Curse?
I want to know if you have anything to do with that.
Oh, with the curse that you couldn't break with all of your alchemy? You tried and you tried and you couldn't do it. You see, I was called by Lady Steele to help her figure out why she has been so ill for so long. And we discovered that there was a deadly curse placed on you. And we couldn't figure out who did it.
No.
It's a mystery. And nothing I could do could break the curse.
Lady Steele, was that potion you asked Miss Cross to bring that would cause a death, was that for you?
Well, you see, I had asked Miss Cross to bring me some potions. There were just days that it was just so horrible that I would just rather face death than to go on. And so she knew that there would be a time when I would ask her for a potion to just...
I always keep it with me just in case.
Yes. I do believe that I only have a fortnight to go.
Oh
Mother!
Yes,
no. What
and
shall we do?
we need, if there was only a way to break this curse, I don't know who has done this.
Mother, have I not heard that you are a sorceress yourself?
Oh.
That some call you the White Lady?
Well, yes, they do call me the White Lady.
Can you not
but-
break this curse?
No, I can't. I'm not that powerful.
Oh,
So you are a sorceress?
or are you
No.
are you suppressing some of your mysteries that you've been trying to hide for so long?
Well, I have been experimenting with a little bit of alchemy, but I certainly am not an expert as other people in this room are.
Not like your brother was.
No.
Orpheus?
No, Orpheus was
Oh.
the greatest alchemist of all.
Orpheus.
Mr. Burnett, I must ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
I saw Mr. Freeman darting around mysteriously, but I also saw you and Lady Steele walk over to the Violet Forest right after the death. Why were you going there with her so secretly?
Lady Steele asked me to go with her, as she wanted to take a walk and talk about some things.
Yes, I did.
However, during our walk is when we heard the scream of Mr. Payne as he fell to his death.
That is very true.
So it could not have been me.
Mother, is this true? You said already that you were walking in the Violet Forest.
Yes, we were.
And
Yes.
you heard my love fall to his death?
We heard the scream. We heard the scream.
Was there also I
Your
cannot.
love, your love, come now. I saw
I
how
beg your
cold you were to Mr. Payne today. You were so cold and
Even the
distant.
most affectionate of lovers do have their quarrels.
Now, Mr. Burnett, in defense of Lady Evangeline here, I saw them, I heard them in the dining room. I was outside the door and Mr.
Listening
Payne
in.
spoke to her. Well, I was alarmed for Lady Evangeline because I heard them speaking, and I can tell you that Mr. Payne spoke to her in a way that no gentleman should address a lady. She was shaking. She had to steady herself against the table by the time they were done speaking.
And why, my dear, were you shaking so badly? What could Mr. Payne have possibly done to cause you this much distress?
Bartholomew was not acting himself, as you all saw, when he got up so abruptly from the dinner table and thought to take some air, and I followed him, thinking to offer some comfort or advice, and he was vile to me. He said things that I cannot repeat. He called me a spoiled child. He said he would fly into a rage should he have to continue to look upon my face.
How could he say such a thing?
I cannot think.
I want to know where the moonstone went to.
I do too.
Is your amulet?
You were supposed to bring it and give it to Evangeline personally.
And it disappeared. So I have nothing to say about it.
I don't know where my moonstone is. My fiance acted very strangely in the moments before his death. I do believe him to have been under the influence of an illness. I do not know.
Do you think the moonstone perhaps carried something with it?
Such as
Did
a
you,
curse?
did you have anything to do with the moonstone, seer?
Oh, now, you see, I was very close with Orpheus, even though his family disowned him because he loved and embraced all of his powers that he had.
I didn't hear about you. I was very close as well.
But Orpheus came to me shortly before his death and told me that he had created this beautiful, beautiful moonstone. And the moonstone, he wanted me to help him put a special curse on it. And the curse was that anyone who touched the moonstone would have misery come to it.
Misery.
Misery and fortune and many evil things would happen.
I cannot lie, this has been an evil day.
I, of course, did not know that you would be the one to receive that moonstone.
Why would Uncle Orpheus put such a curse on an object and give it to me as a gift?
He was disowned by the family when I was a child.
This is before I was born.
He was tossed out because they thought he was in league with the devil. I tried writing letters to him. I had Mr. West send letters to him. I wanted to reconcile with him after my parents' death, but he never returned any letters. He never answered any of my letters.
Did you send them?
Did you send them, Mr. West?
You know, Lady Steele, I've been here for over 50 years.
Yes.
I served
Yes.
your grandfather. I served your husband, who I think you killed, but that's another story.
Miss
Pardon?
West,
But
You can't talk to her that way.
I was so upset when your husband, Phelan, died, which I think was very mysterious, that when your brother tried to get back to you and try to reconcile and become part of the family, I never sent those letters.
I knew it.
Mr.
In
West!
fact, I rewrote the letters.
Mr. West!
And I told them you wanted nothing to do with them.
How could you do
In
that?
fact, he came here a couple times to the mansion, and I told him that you and your daughter did not want to see you.
Why?
And Orpheus always told me that the family disowned him. And the family didn't want anything to do with him because of his special gift and that he embraced his gift.
So I guess I'm going to lose my job.
Miss Jessica,
No reference for
As
you.
soon as we solve this murder investigation, you're dismissed.
But,
No reference.
but when he came to the mansion the last time and I sent him away, he said he was going to take revenge on you and you because of the way
That's why.
that you treated him. And I can't tell you how happy I am.
Mr. West, Miss Jessamine, you are Mr. West's daughter.
Did you know about
Did
this?
you know of this?
I have nothing to say about that.
Oh,
You've been awfully quiet.
Say,
You've been awfully quiet. Where were you? Where were you when all of this was happening? I know I was in the carriage house. Where were you?
I was right here in the dining room picking up the plates as I always do after dinner. I never
however,
even left the house.
after Mr. Payne left abruptly, I went in the hall to use the lavatory. And I heard him having a screaming conversation with someone who was a woman and indicated that he would tell the Lady Steele after the birthday party that you were the thief of the moonstone.
no.
Where is it?
I did no such thing.
You
Mother,
believed with your father and no references.
I did no such thing. It's true that I slipped something into my pocket and Mr. Payne saw me do it, but I put it back.
What
I don't
was
even know
in your
what it
pocket?
was that I took. And then put it back on the table. He was confronting me afterwards. I know
Take
nothing.
this here.
Everyone is behaving so
Out of my
strangely.
pockets, lady.
Are we losing sight of what has happened here? A man is dead.
Well,
He was a pain.
he was. He
I'm
was
tired of
indeed.
these childish puns.
Why can't I not knock out of my brain the fact that you wanted that special potion from Miss Cook, and that we saw Mr. Payne looking like he was drunk and walking crazily? Would that have something to do with it?
Mother,
Well,
I just,
there's just so much. There's just so much to say. As you know, I'm shortly to be dismissed around. And I needed to make sure that you would be taken care of. And after hearing the conversation between Mr. Burnett and your fiancé in the sitting room this afternoon.
Mother, you heard it too.
I did not hear you. I
Why did you say
heard
nothing?
Mr. trying to shield you, my dear. from the pain of Mr. Payne. The door to the sitting room was closed, which is very unusual since it's usually open. And so, as I walked by, I could hear Bartholomew in the sitting room talking with another man in the room.
Yes, I was there.
You were there?
I heard the whole,
I don't know. Mr. Payne, was very upset with this other person and said that he thought that he was being very despicable. But the other person, who I later surmised was Mr. Burnett,
it was.
said that as soon as Bartholomew paid him the debt that he owed him, then Bartholomew could be free to marry whoever he thought was worthwhile of himself.
Yes.
You were there.
I overheard this conversation. It was not deliberate on my part. This morning, I wandered into the sitting room. It was a beautiful day outside. I was watching the storm clouds roll in, and suddenly I heard a commotion in the doorway, and I did not want to talk to anyone. I did not want to, so I quickly secreted myself behind the curtains and stayed out of sight. And unfortunately, I was witness to a most disturbing and shocking conversation in which I learned that Mr. Burnett and Bartholomew were nothing more than confidence tricksters. They were in league. They were in league to steal the moonstone.
You have potions for everything.
It makes me smile. Thank you.
And the engagement was nothing but a sham.
Well,
That when Mr.
Wait, you are not engaged?
I am not engaged.
He did this all as a trick?
He did this. This was a trick. This was nothing more than a trick to acquire the moonstone. And I find it intensely interesting, Mother, that the two men in question had a previous relationship
Yes,
involving a woman who is now deceased.
yes.
My dear sister.
Your sister.
Mr.
That I
Burnett,
never
what
heard of.
can? How dare you, sir?
Your own sister.
You know, it makes me wonder though, that, all right, I admit I chased your brother out, Lady Steele, and
Yes.
Orpheus was so mad at you that gift, the moonstone, does anyone know if it was really a gift? Of
It's-
something good,
yes.
or could it be of something dead?
the gift was to give it to you, my dear, on your 21st birthday.
It was in his will.
It wasn't his will.
Yes.
However, when I helped him curse the moonstone,
Oh,
it was not.
You helped.
Well, of course I helped, honey. He came to me all the time.
She's the seer.
He came all the time. I saw in the future. I saw the pain that would be brought to you.
Is this why a few days ago when I met with you for my seasonal visit, yes, every season I have a consultation with the seer, and you warned me.
I
You
did.
told me to beware of my fiance.
I did tell you to beware of him. I told you to be very careful, that nothing good would ever come. I looked and looked in my balls.
Some seer you do not need to look in your ball to have that information.
So, sir, what was the curse that you placed on this moonstone?
The curse was that anyone who touched the moonstone would have misery and death and an ill life and pain caused to them.
We
But,
get the picture.
We all are having pain.
Despicable nature of this curse. I have a question for you, Mr. Burnett. Why is it that you were selected to be the bearer of this gift to my home?
It was willed to my father to handle this task, but my father has fallen ill and could not do this on his own. if I knew what was to happen here, I would have stayed in my chair and read about this in the papers, letting the lawyers handle this.
And yet, you concocted a plot. You presumably, did you send Bartholomew here to falsify
Yes,
a friendship with me and
yes, I
encourage this
did.
engagement
It was my revenge
Why?
on him
on him?
for driving my sister to her death, my loving sister.
Do you not think of anyone else that might be hurt with
I
your schemes?
I would receive pleasure from knowing that he had done my bidding and handled this task that was put upon me unwillingly to me. No.
What was the debt that he
Thank you.
owed you?
He was
I
to
also-
convince your daughter to marry him and to steal the moonstone from me and give it to me, and after that, and after your celebration, that he could leave, as your mother stated, and marry whomever he wanted.
When did you notice, my dear, that the moonstone was missing?
I don't remember. I'm casting my thoughts back to the moment at the dinner table when Bartholomew rushed from the room and out the door. I followed him. I have not seen it since prior to that encounter, and everything else has happened. So much has happened since then. I cannot say. I cannot say.
So even though you were in cahoots with Mr. Payne, you were really working against him at the same time.
That's correct.
And what was your final plan with him?
My final plan was to get my revenge by having him go through all of this.
That doesn't seem like revenge.
That seems a little, I guess I'm a bit
Confused?
confused. Yes, I do not understand some aspects of your story, sir.
The pain it put him through to do this bidding on my behalf. And then gaining the moonstone, the priceless moonstone, which is known to have mystical powers.
Did you want him to touch the moonstone and
I have
obtain
nothing
the
to
curse?
say about that.
Why did you not just keep the moonstone? You were willed to take it from your...
I was tasked to give it to you for your birthday.
It was in the will.
I realize that, but why did you not just abscond with the moonstone and never come here at all?
I was
Lay your
honoring my
lives?
father and his wishes.
Miss Cross, I must ask you, why were you so upset in the carriage shed when I bumped into you at the time of Mr. Payne's death? You seemed very upset.
And trying to leave very quickly.
If you must know, I did bring the death potion. And for a lady with her height and weight, it would have worked. But for a man of Mr. Payne's height and weight, if he were to ingest that, it would make him appear, he's the life of the party, a little drunk. But
So it was your potion that made him.
Mother, when I was called down to the before dinner drinks this evening,
Yes.
when I walked into the room, I did see you handing a glass to Mr. Payne.
Yes.
Did you put the potion in the glass that you handed to Mr. Payne?
Yes, I had asked Miss Cross for the potion. And of course, she gave it to me because she knows how my mind has been. And I thought, what can I do for my daughter? This man is going to betray her. And I thought, he comes from a well-to-do family. If before he can betray her and try and get away with this, if he were dead, then his family would feel obligated to take care of you for the rest of your life, since I won't be around.
Is see.
And so I took the potion, not knowing that it wasn't strong enough for a man of his height, and I mixed it in his drink. And I expected him to die immediately.
I'm so sorry,
And-
you told me.
And he didn't, you didn't ask any questions. You were
I always do.
very, very,
Always.
yes, you do.
You knew the direction that he was going to take.
No, that's why when he left the dining room after that, and he staggered his way out, Mr. Ivan and I went for a walk. In the Violet Forest,
In the
so
Violet
we
Forest.
weren't anywhere near.
The cliffs?
No.
But you knew that his body would be lying open.
No, I did not. At that point, I really didn't know. I could not understand why he had not dropped. And we heard him scream, so perhaps he was...
Mr. Freeman, I have to ask this question again. I'm not
Yes,
really,
Mr.
if I'm getting a good answer. You looked so mysterious out there by the shed at the time of the murder. It was said, I saw you run over to the cliffs, stop, and then run back to the shed, and as if you didn't want anyone to see you. Why were you acting in this manner?
I was very concerned when I saw how upset Lady Evangeline was. I wanted to follow and make sure that she would be all right. She was so upset.
Well, where was she at the time?
I was outside. I followed Bartholomew out of the dining room. He was acting as we discussed, and now we know it was due to the potion that my mother dosed him with. Thank you, Mother.
You're welcome, darling. You're welcome.
She had her reasons.
I did.
I do understand that now.
She had very good reasons.
She had very good reasons, and Mother always takes care of her baby.
Thank you, Mother.
Did you walk to the cliffs with your fiance?
I did not. I was outside. I walked out to, I will tell you exactly where I was. I walked out of the dining room to follow him to see if I could help him in some way. His behavior was so concerning. He pushed me off quite rudely and quite aggressively and said some incredibly vile things that no lady should ever be forced to hear. And then he rushed out. He rushed out the door, and I followed him, but I could not see the fog. The fog was so thick. I do not know where he went after I lost sight of him. I did not leave the grounds.
Did you hear him scream?
I did not.
You were outside, Lady Steele. Did you hear him scream?
Yes, Ivan and I were in the forest and we heard him scream. I told him that I knew about the conversation he had in the sitting room with Mr. Payne and himself regarding my daughter, and that he had better be careful or he would see some tragedy. Oh, she may. But we heard the screams.
I admit, I did hear it as well. Yes, I did hear it, but I was nowhere near there.
I cannot say. My memory, I do not know if I heard the scream. I said a moment ago that I did not, but I cannot say. Oh, this has been a most distressing evening. I mean, not. Who
My dear,
has done this?
where were you? Ivan and I were in the forest. My daughter was out in the garden. Where were you?
I was out picking herbs and plants for many of my potions with Mr. Freeman, and when we finished, I wanted him to get my trade ready so that I could travel back home. And at that point, that is when I saw Lyra, along with Mr. West, and she was also, after a quick hello, she was very, very eager to leave. Very eager to leave.
And yet I didn't get to because someone disappeared to get my trike.
And the only person that I'm unsure of where they were at the time was my own lovely daughter.
I said before, I remained in the house, in the dining room. I never even left the
But
house.
who was in the house?
listed that.
Who else was in the house that could,
Multiple of you have said that you were in the house for a short time before leaving the house. So there were other people there, and don't forget the other servants that aren't here right now.
Oh my, you're snippy for a servant.
I'm getting tired of being accused of something I didn't do.
Who's
Mr.
accusing you?
West? Where were you?
I was at the shed. I was retrieving the steam-powered bicycle for Miss Cross. And that's when I bumped into the seer. But I did not hear, at least to my recollection, any screams.
I did see Mr. West. He did say a very quick hello, but he was such in a rush so that he could get your trike ready.
Just doing my job.
It pains
She
me.
won't have much longer.
No, it pains me to say this, but it seems that everyone has someone they were with, except Evangeline.
I told you, I ran out after Bartholomew. The night was foggy. He was very incredibly cruel. He said evil things to me. He called me a spoiled child.
Well, perhaps.
Whose fault is that?
Well, perhaps your father.
Oh, the family has always been coddling all of you for years.
I followed him.
Misty, did you bump into him by the
Ladies.
cliff?
Accidentally.
Lady. Misty.
She is still a lady, no
So
matter
you
what
say.
you think.
Oh my.
So, did you bump into Mr. Payne at the cliff?
I have nothing to say about that.
Oh.
Nothing.
Convenient how you have nothing to say at the most inconvenient moments.
Yes, I was angry. Would you not be angry?
Furious.
I learned that my fiance is not in love with me. He does not wish to marry me. He is in cahoots with this swindler, this confidence trickster. With this-
Temperamental, aren't we?
You. It is not your turn to speak. I was angry. I wanted to confront him. My feelings today have run the gamut. I was distraught when I overheard the conversation in the sitting room between you and my fiance. I was utterly distraught. Then my despair turned to indignation and anger. I saw my mother give him the drink. He became very agitated and belligerent during the meal, and I followed him.
Did you
I think-
see your mother slip something into the drink?
No, I did not. I saw her. I have nothing to say about that. I saw her hand him the drink. Would you not wish to confront a man who had done this to you?
Of
And
course.
possibly
Of
push
course.
him over.
Possibly
I'm
have enough
sorry to
anger?
Now, you keep
I have
saying,
nothing to say about that.
you followed him. When did you stop following him?
I have nothing to say about that.
Well, I would not be surprised if Miss or Lady Steele committed it. And I'll tell you why.
My
One
mother
night,
is,
your husband got drunk on whiskey and was sitting there at the fireplace, and he called me in and said, "Mr. West," he said, "if I ever am found dead, it was because of my loved one. I was a demise." So he accused you right from the, and you know what's funny, Lady Steele, right after that moment, things started happening. Remember when he fell down the stairway mysteriously? Remember when his steampunk vehicle caught on fire?
I remember.
Remember all those accidents? Well, he finally did die in that chair by the fireplace with an empty whiskey glass at his side.
Yes, he did.
I would not be surprised.
Yes, he did. Yes. Yes, yes it is.
Were you finally channeling your white powers?
No, it was
Oh, you had
just
some
good old
sauce.
poison and
Oh,
Lady Steele.
none of your natural
Mother.
energy coming out?
perhaps, but I wasn't
Oh.
aware of it at the
Oh,
time.
of course, you were
No,
never.
no, I always had those electrifying emissions that happened.
Those special surges, as we called them, when you came to me as a child.
Yes, yes,
Oh, yes.
Mother, you
Special
murdered,
surgery.
you murdered my father?
Well,
Why?
that's a strong word.
It's done for a good reason.
The money that he left me enabled me to,
Your life opens up.
yes it did, and I was able to start having potions from you, and you were able to help me,
And
and
we knew the direction which your life would take.
yes, yes.
Beginning to think I need a new job.
You're not getting any references. And that reminds me,
Dismissed without a character.
the moonstone. Where is the moonstone?
I wish I knew. I wish I had never laid eyes upon the moonstone.
Well, if it is cursed and the person who touches it will get sick and wobbly, let's look for somebody who is a little wobbly around.
That's just about all of us.
Bartholomew was certainly
But
wobbly.
you, seer, friend of since childhood, you helped Orpheus with the moonstone.
Took the curse.
With the curse.
But I
So
had no
you would
idea.
not be cursed.
No,
You were the one who helped place the curse.
I helped place
You
the
would be
curse.
immune to that.
Yes, I would.
Why would you place a curse on it, knowing that it would come to our house?
That's just it. I didn't know that it would come to your house. I never saw that vision come to me. I did see a vision that it would cause death and cause illness, but I was asked by your brother Orpheus. He told me he created the moonstone. He created it and needed that extra help of my powers. But I honestly had no idea that it would be given to such a sweet dear.
Did you ask
Spoiled
them
as she
where?
is, but yes.
Yes, spoiled as she was.
However, if you had the moonstone, you would be able to reap the benefit of its pricelessness.
Yes, but I never wanted to keep the moonstone.
It's for interdimensional travel. That's what it's
Oh.
Interdimensional
See?
travel.
Now, Lyra, how would you know that?
for. Well, because he was my mentor.
Uncle Orpheus.
Oh, Uncle Orpheus had so many secrets.
Apparently.
Did you know what the moonstone was to be used for?
Not until his death. And I went to the reading of the will. And when I heard it was going to Miss Steele, Lady Steele, I had to come and see for myself because I was shocked that he would do that to his family. I did not know that he was disowned. He never mentioned it.
He was disowned.
And I
He was in
I did
league
that.
with devil.
He was disowned
believe it.
because your family could not understand him.
What did the stone do again?
Interdimensional travel.
And what exactly does that mean?
Supposedly, there is another world that has something called computers. They help you see things without having to read everything and to look it up. It's very tedious.
That'll never catch.
Well, stones have such powers. They have such energy.
What are you doing? Mother, is she placing a curse upon us?
I don't know. I have,
Moonstone's not in there.
No, the moonstone isn't.
No, it's not.
No. These were just extra stones that Orpheus created.
Are they cursed?
I didn't know about that.
No, they're not cursed. Do you think I'd honestly be holding something that would curse me?
If you cursed it yourself, it would not curse you.
that's right.
No, I have no interest in that. I just like the energy that they provide me and the strength that they provide me
To do what?
to see into the future.
Can you not see who did this foul deed this day? Who is the murderer? Can you not see?
I can, but I have nothing to say about that.
So seer you are.
Oh, I'm a very good seer. I'm a very good seer, and didn't you come to me just a few days ago?
I did, we've discussed that. I did.
Yes, we
And
did.
you gave me a terribly vague warning about my fiance.
Oh,
Dreadfully vague.
vague as in take heed and.
As in beware.
Yes.
The word you used was beware.
Yes.
Vague, shocking.
I know.
Oh, and you could do much better.
Yes.
Oh, pray tell, pray tell.
Why do you think Lady still needs me all the time?
Oh, and Lady Steele needs me all the time as well.
I need them both.
Mother, are you feeling well? Do you need to sit down?
I'm all right now, but
Do you need to
we
make
have
a motion?
14 days.
As how many potions have you made that you weren't able to save her?
The death potion.
The death potion. And you knew that she was cursed, but yet you couldn't come up with an antidote?
It's beyond my capability.
Oh.
I will admit. I will admit.
Could you come up with an antidote to my curse?
Could you save her?
Oh, I tried.
And
I
still
tried.
haven't. And still.
There is nothing in my power that I can do to save her. If I could, I would. She's been coming to me for years.
Could Uncle Orpheus save you, Mother?
I don't know. I have nothing to say about that, and he is dead.
Well,
That was relative.
And as you keep
Nothing
saying,
surprises
the
me
seer
anymore.
keeps saying that Lady Steele has been coming to you for years as you wipe her with your flowers. Maybe you've been giving her something to create this ailment.
I have nothing to say about that.
and that's exactly what I was thinking.
You know,
Great
if
minds.
you
That's
or a
does seem
friend,
likely.
supposed to be my friend, but you're a student of my brother.
Oh, your brother was a student of mine.
Oh,
Who are you? Who are you really?
Oh, I am the seer.
I know.
I know everything about all.
are you the one who is making me ill?
I have nothing to say about that.
What have you been taking out of my flower beds all these years?
Only the most wonderful flowers to make the most wonderful potions.
I don't either.
I don't either.
I trust no one here.
The gardener here, he knows what grows in the garden.
He does.
But Lady Steele, you've ordered me for years to give her whatever she wants.
But you would know what those flowers can do.
I have nothing to say about that.
They're ignorant. And it's quiet
And
over here.
by the way, how did this little accident happen?
On a train.
Where were you traveling at the time?
I have nothing to say about it.
Did you push anyone out?
I have nothing to say about that.
Does it cause you much pain?
No.
Not
As a matter of
anymore.
fact, it works better than my original. Other than the little quirky nerve.
Oh, we're all very good.
Oh, Lyra.
I never knew how weird this household was until tonight.
We're
Well-
not weird, we're unique.
Have we given any thought to Mr. Payne not being able to tolerate us and just jump? Screaming as he went down for happiness that he's done with us.
Well, he was arguing with someone. I heard voices raised.
That was your daughter he was arguing with, saying she was the thief of the moonstone.
I'm not his
She's not my daughter.
Oh, that's right, it's your daughter.
Stole nothing. Just saying.
And
What
what are
happened to
in
you
those, what are in those pockets?
Since you're going to be no longer
Seriously,
employed, and you seem to have this revengeful need against me since you worked for my grandfather, wouldn't the moonstone benefit you?
Can you give me my paycheck first? I have nothing to say about that.
She, that little maid over there, the other one that's going to be dismissed tonight as well, she's been awfully quiet.
And we checked her pockets.
We did, there's nothing in there.
I haven't had a whole lot to
Although
say.
it was the seer that shot them.
Yes, yes, and she is,
Just mine, we were
Yes.
friends once. May I
Yes.
check your pockets? They are empty. Empty like your soul.
that was,
Is anyone else? Has anyone else any?
Do you
Lines
have
of
anything you'd like to ask us or tell us? Oh, you don't now, do you? And do you?
We have, there's a
We
hand
have a
back here.
question here. Ah.
He's the Mr. Freeman.
Mr. Freeman, how about checking his pockets for us?
You want to check his pockets?
I'll let you.
I have nothing
Empty.
but flower clippings.
We have a question here.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Burnett, why would you want the moonstone back if you knew it was cursed?
I didn't know it was cursed.
Oh.
Remember, Mr. Payne was to steal it for me
Well, why?
from the steels.
What did you want to do with it? Sell it?
It had magical powers.
How did you know this?
That's what I was doing.
And a question here.
Yes, madam.
Seer,
Yes.
how close were you to Mr. Ray?
We were close. He would come to me as a child. When the family disowned him, just leave it, keep falling.
the devil, the devil.
He would come to me as a child because the family didn't understand him. They disowned him because Orpheus always wanted to channel his alchemy, and he wanted me to teach him all of the things about various powers. So he would come to me many, many times during his lifetime. Yes.
If you're going to pluck my prize-winning lavender, don't tread it underfoot.
Yeah, she had a question.
There's a question here as well.
But this person isn't waiting a while.
Okay.
That's fine. Miss West,
Yes.
now I'm looking at the dining room. You have a pretty clear shot from the dining room out through the foyer and out to the close. My question to you is just how close were you?
I never left the house.
Can anyone verify that?
No, we can't.
Everyone else was outside, so if nobody saw me outside.
Innocent face.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes, sir.
when you heard people arguing at the cliffs,
Yes, sir.
were the voices of men, well, Mr. Payne was there.
Yes, sir.
arguing. Was the other voice a man or a woman?
I could not tell, sir. All I heard was a voice on the wind. The fog made the sound rather distorted.
Yes.
Here, if you were with Mr. Freeman,
Mm-hmm.
why didn't you hear Mr. Buckwell too? And why didn't he mention you or Mr. Freeman?
Well, I suppose I heard him. I just have selective hearing.
The wind was also very loud. The wind was howling. It was a ferocious storm of night.
someone over there.
Over here.
Lady Steele,
Yes.
did you have an illness? Have
Yes.
you ever been in contact with Melissa?
No. Yes. I have nothing to say about that.
Ms. West, are you jealous of Evangeline?
I have nothing to say about that.
One other question, did you care for Mr. Payne?
I don't think it's a matter of did I care for him. I know he disrupted the dinner pretty badly with some very inappropriate behavior, but other than him confronting me about what he thought he saw me take, I really have had very little contact with him. It did scare me that I thought he would tell the Steeles that I was stealing from them, but other than that, I didn't have much contact with him.
Right over here.
Miss West, did you say you heard the scream?
I was in the house, so no. I did not hear anything.
Several of us did.
There's a question back here.
Oh, we've got one over here.
We've got several.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a couple.
It's for you, Miss Evangeline. So, you mentioned that you went and hid behind the drapery in the
This morning, I did, this morning in the sitting room.
sitting room. So that was before dinner then?
Yes, that was this morning.
And then dinner was later in the day, so it's all
Yes.
happening on the same day?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there a question here, sir?
Seer, what is your real name?
Seer is my name. I know everything and I know everyone. I don't need a name.
She's
Yes,
always
ma'am.
like this.
Right here.
Does anyone who heard the voice arguing with Payne know if it was a woman or a man?
Does anyone who heard the voice arguing with Mr. Payne know if it was a woman or a man? Could anyone tell?
When was,
When they were outside, they were
Outside?
arguing? Yes.
no, we just heard voices. I just heard
Nobody
voices.
knows, okay.
We have a question here.
There's one over here as well.
Miss West?
I'm sorry.
What did you slip into your pocket?
I don't know, I didn't look at it. I reached over, picked it up, put it in my pocket, and then picked it up and put it back on the table without ever looking at it. I don't know.
Then why did you take it?
Well, it's a kind of a game. I grew up in this house, and sometimes when standing around and bored, I would slip little things into my pockets. I felt guilty at first, but then it became kind of a thrill to see if I could do it when there were people in the room and see if they didn't see it.
Good help is so hard to find.
No reference, none at all.
Dismissed without.
I don't think I want a reference from you anyway.
Take it easy, daughter.
Anyone else?
Go right ahead.
Can we see what's in your pockets?
Sure, I would be delightful to show you. Miss West.
You might want to wear gloves. Oh, you do have gloves.
I'm gonna help you.
I have special potions. There's one more in here.
A vial,
Oh.
a shiny vial.
And what is in that vial?
Put it to your eye and find out.
I don't trust that.
I don't know.
The lady in the corner here has been waiting a while.
Oh, Miss West. Oh, Miss West.
Again?
Again. Make yourself useful for a change.
You're still working.
Yes, until tomorrow.
Oh, hey, Gardner.
Yes, ma'am. I shall take this back with my flowers.
Emma, work it, lady, work it.
The question is, do I have any reason to think that Mr. Payne was unfaithful to me during our brief sham of an engagement? No, I had no idea. I was quite deceived in his affection for me. Quite
Okay,
deceived.
this will be the last question.
Question over here. This lady's been waiting.
For Miss Frost. What did you have to gain from Mr. Payne's death?
What did you have to gain from Mr. Payne's death?
I have nothing to say about that.
Okay, the pizza is here, and so how about if we start here and start filing? Okay, so before we start taking accusations, the cast has a couple more questions they want to ask, and then we'll get into the accusations.
Well, one of them was concerning Mr. Freeman, and we were talking about it at the table, our gardener friend here. And we were wondering, what was his concern when he was following Miss Evangeline Steele out of the mansion? It just didn't sound right to us.
Yes, the
So-
gardener. Why is the gardener?
Why is a gardener being so
Following
concerned about
me?
Evangeline?
Well, Mr. West, you caught me. As you know, I've served the Steele's family for many years. And I've watched Lady Evangeline grow from a child into this lovely young lady. And whoever just said that got it perfect. You got it. Nothing more need be said. That you caught it. But actually, yes. And I have been secretly, in my dreams, in love with Lady Evangeline for
Mother, we
years.
need a new gardener as well. No
You
reference.
thought I was the weirdo?
You've lost all your stuff.
Love potion number 9.
That would be her.
I am astonished and dismayed.
Well, I think it's time that we decide and start thinking about who do we each think could have murdered Mr. Payne in such a painful way. Okay, still say. It is your birthday.
Yes, it is.
It is my birthday, even though it has been ruined. Yes. Well, anyway, I think that. Well, okay, I think I did it. I think that. I was furious at being duped and being called a spoiled child and finding out that my fiance was not truly in love with me, but was merely pretending to be my fiance in order to acquire this dastardly moonstone. Mr. West?
You know, I had a feeling it was Freeman, the gardener, and until he mentioned that he was in love or fantasizing about, to me that clinched it, because I never had a motive for the guy. So, I mean, he was out there looking suspicious the whole night. I saw him darting around. I just couldn't get that, but when he said that he had this fantasization for, yeah, okay, I'm going to go with Freeman.
Well, remember,
I also am going to accuse the gardener for many of the same reasons. I think it highly suspicious that he ran out to the cliffs and back again very quickly, trying to keep himself hidden.
Well, I was gonna say the Steeles, but now I'm thinking it's the creepy gardener. I mean, he's messing around with flowers all the time and bushes, and now all of a sudden he has to be out near the cliff. Yeah, so I definitely think it's Freeman.
Mother?
Well, I tried, but I wasn't very successful, and I had my own reasons. And I thought my daughter did it. She certainly had reason to do it as well. But after I found out that we had this pervert working for us, it happened.
Well, I think that all evidence points that it was me. Therefore, I don't think I did it. I actually think lovely Evangeline did it.
Well, what you have to say for yourself.
once a weirdo, always a weirdo. I think I did it.
At first, I thought the seer did it for her concern for Miss Evangeline here. And then after the new information about the gardener, thought he did it, but then I have another theory. I thought, what about Mr. Payne? He had this potion, and it caused him to stumble and act weird and whatnot. What if he got too close to the cliffs and just fell over? Accidentally. Though the initiator of the potion would still be Lady Steele. So, I'm flipping a coin. I think he fell off the cliff.
Will the real murderer please stand up?
If some people from the audience want to make some accusations, keep your accusations short, but go ahead and stand up and make your accusation.
I want to say it was the seer, because you said you knew who the murderer was, but you wouldn't say. And you also said that you knew she would have pain. And true that you're a seer.
But I didn't say what kind of pain she had.
You also lied several times.
Well, we have been to the truth a little bit.
So,
Maybe.
Anyone else?
Over here.
I think it's Lyra Cross in the brown skirt because she had the least to say, and the victim has goggles on, and you notice that the shed is the closest to the cliff, and I think maybe it was a trio of kind people.
Outrageous. No, absolutely not. It was not me. Don't listen to her.
Well, we went off and away from who it was and started talking about the moonstone, which didn't really seem to appear. And we started talking about the interdimensional travel, and we think it was Orpheus.
You did say there's dead and there's not dead. Can anybody say why the deceased has a scarf?
He's cold.
We have nothing to say about that.
It was next fashion.
You'll have to ask Mary and exhibits.
It's a steampunk cravat.
I was using the outline for motive, means, and opportunity, and I know that Lady Steele wanted him dead, gave him poison in fact, and I know you wanted revenge on him as well. And then you both had means, and then the last one was opportunity, and I noticed the alibi that you and her had was a shared alibi. You were alibying each other. So I think the two of you
Tag team murder.
were responsible for it all. But
She murdered her husband.
Though, you must keep in mind that she had threatened me if we were to pursue this for her daughter, the deceit. Keep that in mind. I didn't do it.
Anybody else?
adding on to your theory, Miss Steele could have been the one who argued with Payne, but and then like left.
Yeah. I can see that. That's a possibility.
okay.
I was very angry, very outraged. We had words.
Painful words.
Got any more of that death potion? I can't take this.
I've got a lot, right? I got some too.
Anybody else?
Well, just one point. My brother brought a up a good point, that you could handle the moonstone with your artificial arm and not be affected by the...
Good point.
See what's in that left pocket?
Flat underneath. Sorry to say. And it's not in here. A little bit of moisture, but. All right.
That was good.
Anybody else?
Inspired over here. We think it's Laura Cross because she was trained by Orpheus and she could have made a potion to make herself immune to the moonstone.
That's true. Yep. And that was a secret. I didn't never. I've had a few potioning. What have you been potioning? I never told you.
Anybody else?
Just a question. The seer, who are you related to? And what is your name?
I know nothing about that.
No one popped out of thin air.
I did.
She's mysterious.
We think it's Seer Roebuck.
You can say
It's getting worse and worse.
I don't know him, I'm not related to him. Okay.
You're definitely fired. Can I fire you?
No,
Fire you back, I can fire you again.
So, how about if we go around to each character and raise your hand if you think that they're guilty.
Okay.
So, Mr. Burnett,
You want us to stand up?
each of you stand up.
Who thinks he did it?
Okay, a few. Here's a few.
Okay. And the gardener?
All right, bring on the booze. Just a few, okay?
All right, Lady Steele?
A few. No?
She's noted all your faces.
a potion for every single one.
Seriously? Just a few, just a very few.
And Mr. West?
I knew it.
Terrible birthday present, yeah.
And now it's time for the big reveal. Drum roll. Party guests and sleuths, you have had ample time to question the suspects and should by now have formed a theory as to what happened to Mr. Bartholomew Payne out at Carrick Bath this evening. Have we found the killer in our midst? I don't think we have consensus, but it points to the birthday girl. You were instructed to find the person who had the motive, means, and opportunity to commit the murder. And while many suspects had one or two of our trifecta of guilt, only one had all three. Our tale of murder truly is weaved deeply, and it all comes back to the moonstone. Mr. Orpheus Moon, alchemist and brother of Lady Araminta Steele, created the moonstone as a portal between our world and another. He claimed to have had a vision of another world, a world in another dimension where devices called computers rule technology and steam power is obsolete. While most of us would agree that such a world sounds most distressing, the work of science fiction, Mr. Moon was a man obsessed. This obsession fueled the creation of the moonstone, which became legendary, either by those who thought him a genius or those who thought him a cad. Many offered him riches in exchange for his creation, but he refused. He had a different purpose for the moonstone. He had the gem cursed as to have revenge on the sister he believed had cast him aside. Your investigation may have found that Orpheus Moon was wrongly informed, that his sister had not, in fact, cast him aside, but he did not discover the truth before his death, that his estrangement from his sister was the work of a vengeful Mr. Bertram West. The head servant of Harrison House believed Lady Steele's responsible for the death of her husband, to whom Mr. West was fiercely loyal. One feature of a curse is that it makes the cursed item desirable, irresistible even. This was the case with the moonstone, and the man charged with its delivery was most overcome with the desire to keep the moonstone for himself. But just like Mr. West, Ivan Burnett also saw the opportunity for revenge and recruited Mr. Payne to do his bidding. The victim, Mr. Bartholomew Payne, was once engaged to Mr. Burnett's sister. He later called off the engagement, and Miss Burnett was so distressed she ended her own life at Cliffs, not unlike Carrie Fox. Mr. Burnett always blamed Mr. Payne for her death, and upon learning that Mr. Payne would also be staying at Harrison House for the season, blackmailed him to do his bidding. He wanted the moonstone and required Mr. Payne to become engaged to Miss Steele's, earning her trust and ultimately stealing her moonstone on the night of her birthday celebration. Burnett was overheard saying that once Mr. Payne completed his task, his debt would be settled, and he would be free to call off the engagement and leave Harrison House once and for all. Little did Mr. Burnett and Mr. Payne know that two people overheard their conversation. Miss Evangeline Steele's, who had hidden behind a curtain in the sitting room, and Lady Steele's herself, who had grown suspicious and was listening at the door. Being deathly ill, Lady Steele's has tried everything to save her own life and has spent all of her money in the process. Having nothing to leave her daughter upon her death, she was delighted about Evangeline's engagement to Mr. Payne. With the union, Mr. Payne and his wealthy family would ensure Miss Evangeline Steele's future after Lady Steele's death. However, when she overheard the conversation between Mr. Burnett and Mr. Payne in the sitting room earlier today, she knew something had to be done. But what? Anything short of Mr. Payne marrying her daughter would result in Evangeline's destitute end. Unless Mr. Payne died suddenly, of course. While they would not have been properly married, the promise of it would require his family to be responsible for Evangeline. And so, Lady Steele set out to murder Mr. Payne by poison. She had a letter sent to her friend and alchemist, Lyra Cross, requesting she bring a deadly potion. Assuming that Lady Steele's wanted to end her own suffering, Lyra Cross brought only enough potion to kill a slight woman of Lady Steele's height and weight. When Lady Steele slipped the poison into Mr. Payne's drink before dinner, it did not kill him, but he was affected. It was Lady Steele's poison that caused his strange and rude behavior at dinner. Shortly after, he excused himself from the dining room, claiming he needed some fresh air. Miss Evangeline followed him into the hallway, where he was vile to her. He claimed that he would rage if he had to look upon her face for a moment longer, and pushed past her in order to leave through the front doors of Harrison House. Once she had regained her wits, Miss Evangeline followed him, with the sole intent that she would make clear her own feelings for the man who had spoken with her so unfairly and to call off their engagement. She found him at Carrickfast, staring out at the sea. She appealed to him that he was not feeling well and asked him to come inside. She put her arm around him to lead him toward the house, and Mr. Payne attacked. In self-defense, Miss Evangeline pushed him away. Only, as he had been poisoned, his wits were not about him, and he was unable to recover his footing. There, as a result of Miss Evangeline, Mr. Payne fell to his death on the rocks below. Hold on, I'm not done. Is Miss Evangeline our killer? It's true that she was the one responsible for administering the fatal push. However, had it not been for Lady Steele's poisoning him earlier, Miss Evangeline's push would not have been fatal. So, who is guilty? That seems to be up to you fine people to decide if one or both of them were responsible for the death of Mr. Payne.
Like mother, like daughter.
One more minute. As for the moonstone, its whereabouts is not clear. However, if Mr. Payne did take it from Miss Evangeline when he pushed past her in the hallway, or when he attacked her at Carrickfast in an attempt to carry out the theft at all costs, it can only be assumed that it now lies somewhere in the rocky sea below, and will surely never be seen again. Did you have something to say, Miss Steele?
Sorry.
Lady Evangeline, and it was an accident. I didn't mean to kill him. He struck me. I was only defending myself. Mother?
It was no accident. However, I miscalculated. I did not know that Miss Cross didn't give me enough to finish him off, and I just did it for my darling daughter.
Now we need Judge Judy to decide.
Okay, well, that concludes our murder mystery.